Kyle Busch crashes from the lead in the Daytona 500. With 76 laps remaining in the Daytona 500, with rain threatening to end the race, aggressive driving led to a 10-car melee on the backstretch that wrecked Kyle Busch's dominant car and drastically altered the course of the race. On the subsequent 20 laps, there were 2 more cautions, and the race continued for 152 laps before being stopped by rain. Yet the biggest crash was the most significant. Superb words from Kyle Busch. Some guys having some bad days and not doing their best out there. They made their bad day our bad day, and we had a problem. Hello, NASCAR fam, and welcome back to NASCAR Live. But before we begin, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button, and let's begin. Kyle Busch lost control following a late race push from Daniel Suárez and Thursday night's second Bluegreen Vacations Duel qualifying race, becoming the main victim of a multi-car collision. After receiving an erroneous push from Suárez's number 99 Chevrolet, Busch's number 8 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet drifted into the outside retaining wall while in the lead on the backstretch of the Daytona International Speedway, finishing his race with 40 of 60 laps completed. Busch, who was unharmed, expressed his annoyance at being forced to drive a backup car in the 65th running of the Daytona 500 on Sunday, which takes place at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox, MRN, and SiriusXM. Simply a lot of shoving and pushing. Busch remarked at the infield care facility, "I don't know why. We were a single file, I mean. There was no external pressure present. After 2 consecutive laps, nothing happened, and it was only being pushed, until finally it no longer wanted to hold on. In the straightaway, it overloaded the left rear and spun out the wrong direction." Busch hit the outside wall with his car while oncoming traffic avoided his cars. In an attempt to avoid the sliding Chevrolet, Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, and Noah Gragson dove into the grass, but Austin Hill's number 62 Chevrolet spun as a result of the grassy debris that made its way to Austin Hill's tires. Hill's chances of winning the Daytona 500 were destroyed by his collision with Travis Pastrana and Riley Herbst. Hill was driving the non-chartered Beard Motorsports entry, but was disqualified from the Great American Race. Midway through Thursday night's second of 2 qualifying races, Busch was surprised that the aggressiveness had reached that level. The inside lane with the 99 and the 5 behind me, they stopped pushing and they weren't shoving, and the outside still disintegrated, Busch stated. And a couple guys tried to make the outside come forward but never came forward. And then for the last 2 laps there before I wrecked, they started pushing. I don't see the sense, and it really boggles me. Busch and his number 8 team, a brand new combination for the 2023 season, thought they might win the Daytona 500 with their primary vehicle, which added to their disappointment. Busch has won the Cup Series twice, but the Daytona 500 has eluded him after 17 attempts. "Car was fine. It was good," Busch stated. "If there was any weak spot we had, it was just exit of the corners where guys could kind of bunch up back to me, but that's to be expected. That's just the accordion." The legendary action sports driver Pastrana is competing in the Daytona 500 with the number 67 Toyota for 2311 Racing, another open entry. Yet on Wednesday night's single-car qualifying session, Pastrana qualified for the race. The 39-year-old said on Wednesday that he would be responsible for covering any costs associated with damages this weekend, but he left the infield care facility with the conviction that the damage to his car could be repaired in time for the race on Sunday without the need for a backup vehicle. Pastrana admitted, "I didn't hit much. The back was fairly badly bent. We will therefore replace a few pieces. Shouldn't hurt the wallet too much, and we'll absolutely go back there, hopefully in the same vehicle." Although Pastrana made a full-time effort to compete in the Xfinity Series in 2013, he has never started a Cup Series race. The fact that the next-gen vehicle hardly compares to any prior experience he had in a stock car makes it more difficult. "We were just cruising around back, just trying to avoid exactly what happened," Pastrana stated. "Though we're far enough back actually, and at 200 miles an hour it's hard to get woed up. So I learned a lot. I kept wanting to go for it and then start getting in the mix. They're like, just don't mess up the car. And I'm like, all right, we'll just stay in the back. We'll learn from those guys, see what works, see what doesn't. Good information going forward, and I had a blast. It was super intense." Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson resumed his usual place at the head of the NASCAR Cup Series field on Friday. Johnson led a group of 4 Chevy drivers that had the quickest lap times in the first practice for the Daytona 500, clocking in at 194.225 miles per hour. Former Hendrick Motorsports teammate Chase Elliott was second fastest, clocking in at 194.195 miles per hour, ahead of pole sitter Alex Bowman and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. of JTG Daugherty. Johnson demonstrated his aptitude in the next-gen NASCAR car despite having no prior experience driving a competition. After a 2-year hiatus during which he competed in IndyCar, he made his comeback to Cup racing as an owner-driver in the number 84 Chevrolet at Legacy Motor Club. Johnson, a 2-time Daytona 500 champion, said, "This is my first weekend in this car. Todd Gordon, the crew chief, is working on the next-gen car for the first time this weekend, and we are all working together for the first time. Thus, we are currently going through quality reps. Getting outside and mixing things up is just so much fun. I got some nice reps there while being in a great draft with Chase and knowing the bump drafting part of where this car is." 4 drivers took the following 8 fastest spots in practice, led by Eric Almirola. In 17th place, Martin Truex Jr., a Toyota driver, was the fastest. Johnson, a 2-time winner of the Daytona 500, stated, "It's my first weekend with this car. We've never worked together before, and this is crew chief Todd Gordon's first weekend working on the next-gen car, and because of this, we're now lacking in quality salespeople." On his second lap, 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Larson surpassed all previous records, traveling the 2.5-mile superspeedway in 46.664 seconds and 192.868 miles per hour. Bowman's pole-winning speed of 181.686 miles per hour during Wednesday night's single-car qualifying runs was more than 11 miles per hour slower than that lap in the draft. 4 drivers Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Briscoe overtook Larson's speed with 34 minutes remaining in the 50-minute practice, and Almirola would soon follow them. At that point, Almirola had recorded the session's top speed of 194.107 miles per hour in 46.366 seconds. And now, the Xfinity Series. Drivers to watch now that Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson are gone. Poof! Ty Gibbs, Noah Gragson, and AJ Allmendinger vanished from the Xfinity Series in an instant. Nonetheless, this does not imply that the NASCAR Second-Tier Series is devoid of quality. In fact, the competition to advance to the Championship 4 at Phoenix Raceway could be fierce, given the mix of returning standouts and newcomers anxious to claim their fair share of the 20 victories that Gibbs, Gragson, and Allmendinger amassed last season. With the 2023 Xfinity Series that begins in Daytona, a few in particular are worth keeping your eye on. Josh Berry and Justin Allgaier are the top returning Xfinity Series competitors for JR Motorsports. The JR Motorsports lineup is once again strong to no one's surprise. The Dale Earnhardt Jr.-led crew has won 27 races since 2020, including 3 victories each by Justin Allgaier and Josh Berry in 2018. They joined champion Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson, a colleague from the JRM, in the Championship 4, where they also achieved 3 victories each. Earnhardt has hired Joe Gibbs Racing's Brandon Jones to replace Gragson, who has advanced to full-time Cup Series duty. Sam Meyer is back for his second full season and is now 8th in the rankings despite having never claimed a victory. Nonetheless, Allgaier and Berry will enter the season as the drivers to beat, despite the fact that all 4 are undoubtedly capable of great things. The Xfinity Series teams of 2 Cup Series team owners have undergone changes. In 2021 and 2018, Daniel Hemrick and Ty Gibbs, respectively, both raced for Joe Gibbs Racing and won the Xfinity Series. The promotion of Gibbs to the Cup Series is due to his merit after Hemrick left before the end of the previous season to join Kaulig Racing. Sammy Smith and John Hunter Nemechek were given full-time responsibilities by JGR, which has done a good job reloading. Almost 250 starts in all 3 National Series have been made by JHN during his career in NASCAR. 18-year-old Smith gained experience last summer with 9 Xfinity starts and won 6 races in the 2022 ARCA Menard Series. Once AJ Allmendinger was promoted to full-time Cup Series duties, Kaulig Racing, which has fielded competitive entries recently, also changed the makeup of its team. Hemrick and Kaulig newcomer Chandler Jones, who is stepping up from the Craftsman Truck Series, will likely be eclipsed by Dinger, Justin Haley, Kyle Busch, and Landon Castle's all-star vehicle, which will be shared by the 4 drivers. Cole Custer has returned. There are 2 that stand out among the rest of the contenders for the Xfinity Series title. Austin Hill, age 28, put in a lot of work in the Craftsman Truck Series before switching to the Xfinity Series full-time and taking home 2 victories last year. He is a candidate to win 3 or 4 times, and that's only on super speedways, based on his 9 other top 5 finishes and the 3 prominent drivers that advanced to the Cup Series. The series title can be derived from his total body of work. Cole Custer is the other exciting rival. Custer is returning to the Cup Series after being demoted from it by Stewart-Haas Racing, where he had 7 victories and 2 second-place finishes in 2019. 75 of his 110 career starts have resulted in top 10 finishes for him. Custer may end a number of upcoming Saturdays by entering victory lane if his self-confidence hasn't been entirely destroyed by 2 dismal seasons with the SHR varsity. Denny Hamlin blasts Chase Briscoe for aggressive driving. There is a history between Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe. This all began in Indianapolis a few years ago. Ross Chastain's entry into the discussion last year caused it to become quiet. In contrast to the debut race, when drivers are worried about supply constraints and the general reliability of the car, the demonstration Clash at the Coliseum saw a marked rise in aggressiveness. On his podcast this week, Hamlin discussed the erratic driving and chastised the Stewart-Haas Racing driver for his involvement. And Briscoe just responded. At the second overtime restart 2 years ago, Denny Hamlin of Joe Gibbs Racing was still in contention on the Indy Road circuit when he sent Chase Briscoe into the grass by exiting turn 1 wide. The driver, a rookie at the time, avoided turn 2 and rejoined the race course in the wake of the number 11 vehicle. A stop-and-go penalty was imposed by NASCAR on the SHR driver. He spun the JGR vehicle, putting an end to any chances of winning, though, before he could serve it. The two met on pit road shortly after the race when Briscoe gave Hamlin his perspective while the latter listened. "I agree it's not on purpose, but my team told me that he had a penalty right away, and to me, it's obvious," Hamlin stated after the race. "If you cut the racetrack and end up in the lead, you're going to have a penalty. Lack of awareness. Race me for a lap. He went right in the back of me. We can't race that way. I don't think he did it maliciously. I've raced with him for a year now. He's not that kind of person, just bad judgment." And that ends today's episode. We sincerely hope you enjoyed our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see even more of our incredible videos.